the lifeless eyes. I was taking a drive from Maine to Upper New York to spend the week with family. I left right after work around 5:30, so I didn't anticipate getting there until well past 1 o'clock in the morning. I had the top to my Jeep Wrangler off so I could enjoy the hot weather. I was somewhere in Vermont, well past midnight, when the gas light flicked on and the car started beeping. Unfortunately, the gas gauge in the car was broken, so there was no way to gauge how much gas was left. I was told by my brother, who drove the car the previous day, that he filled it up to the top. But clearly he was either mistaken or lying, because I had not used anywhere near a full tank's worth of gas. One of those blue service signs zoomed past. I could see a gas station symbol in one of the boxes, so I turned off that exit onto a desolate road, which surely led to some kind of civilization. I wouldn't be finding out anytime soon, however, because the car started jittering and bumping around a bit, making weird noises that didn't sound good at all. A few seconds later, the acceleration stopped and the car came to a helpless halt. I couldn't believe it, but I actually ran out of gas. I hopped out of the car and got on the phone with AAA, telling them my exact location. They said they could have a guy out to me in at least 20 minutes. I was grateful, but at the same time annoyed that I'd be waiting now for at least 20 minutes. For about 15 minutes, I kind of just strolled around my car slowly, looking down at my phone, texting friends about the situation, and checking social media. It was so quiet. No sounds of distant traffic, no passing cars, just the sound of crickets and other night creatures in the woods. The darkness was absolute. The trees seemed to form a wall on either side of the road, and my car's interior light was the only thing breaking the darkness for a good distance in any direction. Then I heard something walking around in the woods. The footsteps were decently heavy, so I had a hunch it was a deer or something. But the possibility of it being a bear wasn't far-fetched, given that this was bear country. I walked around to the passenger side of the car, now where the woods were and where the sounds were coming from, just in hopes of seeing a deer or some other harmless animal. Then there were two clapping sounds, like it actually sounded like a person clapping their hands. I moved a little closer to listen for it again. This time it was 3 claps. I called out to the woods, hoping in some weird way that someone would answer. But after I did, the clapping didn't happen anymore. I just stood there waiting for something to happen, but it was just silence. So I got back in the car and just waited. I heard footsteps once again, coming from the woods, coming in my direction. Then it just stopped. I looked outside and saw the head peeking from behind a tree just ahead. It almost looked lifeless, the eyes. They just looked so lifeless. I couldn't even tell if they were looking at me or not. I was so focused on these details, I didn't even think to scream at the horror of what I was witnessing. The moment stretched out. Time seemed to slow down. I was frozen, unable to move, unable to process what I was seeing. The head remained perfectly still, just peering around the tree. The eyes, those terrible empty eyes, seemed to bore into me with an intensity that was completely devoid of any human emotion. There was no anger, no hunger, no malice. Just nothing, a void, an absence of anything that made a person human. My hands were shaking as I reached for the window controls. I cranked the windows up on both sides and turned off the headlights. However, hiding in the car didn't make me feel much safer since the entire top was off. Without the headlights on, there was complete darkness. I couldn't see 2 inches in front of me, yet I was surrounded by the night noises of the forest. I was ducking down below the dashboard, doors locked, yet still completely exposed to the outside. I was praying not to hear any sudden sounds like footsteps. But I felt the sinking feeling in my stomach, however, as I heard someone grab the car door handle. I tried my best not to move or make any noise. I was waiting for someone to start pounding at the glass, or at the very least reach around the opening behind the front door to just unlock it. I was so exposed, it wasn't even funny. And then I felt a hand aggressively grab onto my back. I simply lost it and screamed at the top of my lungs. But suddenly, the hand released its grip on my shirt as light began to fill the area, and the sound of a truck engine pulling up the road was music to my ears. I sat up and turned around to see the headlights of a AAA truck. But whoever was grabbing me was long gone already. I ran outside to greet the man who stepped out. He was a big dude in his 40s. I basically cried to him about what just happened, taking huge breaths in between each sentence. Something about his personality and presence was just calming and reassuring. However, he filled my car up with gas and we both went on our ways. Even though something about that man's aura just calmed me down. The memory of what happened that night is still haunting. The image of that lifeless head peering around that tree is imprinted in my brain. And sometimes late at night, I still wonder if that thing is still out there, waiting on some dark road for the next person to break down. I've thought about that encounter countless times. What was that thing? Was it human? The way it moved, the way it grabbed me? It didn't feel human. The eyes especially. I've never seen eyes like that before or since. They were completely empty, devoid of any spark of life or consciousness. It was like looking into the eyes of something that had forgotten how to be human, or perhaps something that had never been human at all. The rational part of me knows there must be an explanation. A person, perhaps mentally ill or under the influence of drugs. Someone who had wandered into the woods and was drawn to my car by the light or the sound. But the part of me that experienced that encounter, the part that felt that hand grab my shirt, knows that something was fundamentally wrong about what I witnessed. I've never driven that road again. I take a different route now, even though it adds an hour to my drive. I can't bring myself to go back there, to risk encountering that thing again. And I know that's probably irrational. I know that the odds of it happening again are slim, but that doesn't stop the fear. That doesn't stop the nightmares. That doesn't stop me from checking my car doors 3 times before I drive, from keeping my eyes on the woods when I'm on a dark road, from jumping at every unexpected sound. Because somewhere out there, in those dark Vermont woods, that thing is still waiting. And I pray to God that I never encounter it again.